Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our 5G Studio Info session. With me on the line is Rachel Jarrett from Verizon's New Business Incubation Team and Anuj Chadha from Vecna Robotics, one of our Cohort 1 member companies. Today, we'll discuss the 5G Studio, the open call that is about to be over in 48 hours, and Cohort 2. In addition, we'll give you some more details about the 5G network and NewLab in general. So what is NewLab? Before we jump in and talk about the studio, I want to give you a quick background about our company. So NewLab, we are a startup ourselves. We raised our Series B about 2 years ago. And what we do is we provide a community of experts and innovators apply transformative technology to different challenges that the world faces, if it's in mining, transportation, industrial automation, or different things. We provide a large community of experts, whether investors or entrepreneurs, to come together and solve those problems. We are focused on different technologies. Companies that sit in NewLab and work with us focus on robotics, Industry 4.0, material science, computer vision, machine learning, blockchain, additive manufacturing, really advanced technology, things that you don't see on the day-to-day, but really companies that try to apply unique solutions to the world's biggest problems. So while today we'll talk more about the studios and we'll focus specifically on the 5G studio, I want to give you a bit of a background on another aspect of the business is our membership. So NewLab, we're based in Brooklyn. We have an 84,000 square foot warehouse in the Brooklyn Navy Yards, and we provide entrepreneurs and over 160 companies space and prototyping labs to come in together and solve different challenges and work on their products. So we are more than just a working space. As I said, we provide access to investors. We provide access to prototyping labs for 3D printing, wood and metal shops, really whatever companies need in order to build their product and to improve their offering. Because of our unique space and the large area that we are in, we provide this access to many companies that require those space. So companies that offer hardware solutions, vehicles, robotics, really companies that need more than just an office space. Today we have 3 locations. We just recently opened our newest location in Michigan in collaboration with Ford over there, and we'll touch a bit about that studio as well. But our main headquarters is in Brooklyn. As I said, it's an 84,000 square foot warehouse in the Brooklyn Navy Yards, used for companies to build anything from autonomous forklifts to new kind of robotics systems and IoT devices. Additionally, we have another office in Brooklyn for companies just 10 minutes away in 77 Washington that we recently opened. In our headquarters, we're basically offering, it's a very unique building based in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. It used to be a shipbuilding factory. And we offer, as I said, a prototyping facility, 70-foot ceilings, natural light, beautiful, beautiful area. You can see here on the pictures on the right and the video, really anything. We provide, and I encourage you guys to reach out to our membership team to ask about FlexDesk, to full offices. FlexDesk are more like an option for companies who are not looking to have a permanent desk within the lab, but really to come in and out and to make use of the labs that we offer. Our community is very, very, very dynamic and very unique. We are proud to have about a quarter of our founders to be female founders. We also have 40% of our founders to be serial entrepreneurs, so companies that come back over and over and over again, and they chose NewLab for a reason. It's people with experience, and they come in to use the facility to take our expertise on the different hardware solutions that they're looking to build, and we hope to provide them that. In addition to the space, as I said, we provide a bit more than just a desk. We have our own Slack channel for companies to communicate and collaborate. I can say that it's very, very active, and companies share anything from resumes for relatives or advice on how to solve a specific problem. We also provide curated introductions to companies, to whether it's investors or corporates that are looking to expand their business, and mentors. The New Lab itself, just to emphasize, we are not an incubator or an accelerator. We don't take equity in companies. It's a community that really is collaborative and use the facility as they existed. We also offer different exclusive programming, such as pitch days and pitch prep, and ability to pitch to different angels group in New York, or even Google X Moonshot. Now to jump a bit more into the other aspect of the business. So we have the membership part, and that's the office as I just described. We also have our studio model, and we work with multinational corporations, Fortune 1000, to really build new solutions and to solve big challenges and problems that those corporates face using new technology. So we facilitate studios in which companies engage with us for 1 year, and we find solutions for them in the form of startups. The studio itself, as I said, is a year engagement, starts with workshop with corporates, where we really go deep dive into their issues and problems, challenges that they face in their industry. And then we go through a pilot period where we bring in startups based on those challenges to solve the different issues and the different problems that those corporates face. And the idea is really to build solutions that the corporate and de-risk the problems, to build solutions that the corporate can really integrate quickly into their offering. We work with Verizon, which we will talk about this studio today. It's a 5G studio. We also work with Ford on the mobility studio that we just launched in Michigan around challenges in the mobility industry, like electrical vehicles, EV charging, and autonomous vehicles. We have a mining studio with Vincent that we operate in India and different pilot sites in Canada, where we're solving issues in the mining industry. We also have all these other collaborations, of course, and we would love to answer any of those questions on any questions on any of those studios later. So to go deep dive into the 5G studio, Verizon and New Lab, we started our partnership about a year ago, where Verizon built a 5G network within New Lab. With me on the line is Rachel from Verizon New Business Incubation Team. She'll go deep dive into the capabilities of 5G and into why has Verizon chosen New Lab specifically to run this studio. Rachel.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Jarrett, and I sit on the New Business Incubation Team at Verizon, where I lead ecosystem development and growth, as well as our collaboration and program with New Lab. Very excited to spend some time today and share a little bit on the program as we plan for our first cohort of 2021. So just starting a little bit with the partnership, Verizon and New Lab created the 5G studios for companies and entrepreneurs seeking to leverage ultra-wideband 5G to redefine industries. Through the program, companies are developing next generation 5G products today. At New Lab, Verizon's implemented 5G ultra-wideband infrastructure, as well as mobile edge compute, or MEC, allowing for near real-time processing at the edge. Let's move on to the next slide. So we're focusing on 3 key areas for the cohort. Those are industrial automation, energy, and transportation, all areas that can be truly disrupted by 5G. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so what is 5G? 5G at its simplest level is the 5th generation of wireless technology. And to understand 5G, it's helpful to understand what came before it. We started with 1G, which was about voice-only analog capabilities. Then 2G introduced the digital world, allowing for short messaging. So that was a TTYL message. The move to 3G provided the essential network speeds for accessing the internet through smartphones. Then 4G, with its faster data transfer rates, gave rise to many of the connected devices and services that we rely on today. One good example of that is Uber. And so the move from 3G to 4G gave a significant network improvement, but the jump from 4G to 5G will be transformative. Previous generations only improved two components of cellular capability, and those were speed and throughput. 5G provides us with an additional 6 inherent advantages, including ultra low latency, energy efficiency, ultra reliability, and more. And so we're not talking about a step function here, we're talking about something new altogether. Let's move on. Okay, so 5G is paving the way for an array of unprecedented innovation that will reshape businesses and society as a whole. 5G has already started to usher in the fourth industrial revolution, an era of technology-led disruption and innovation that has potential to cause huge change in how we do things. This becomes capable because of the capabilities that 5G introduces. So when we talk about speed, 5G is going to be even faster and with massive bandwidth. But beyond that, we have other capabilities, or what we call the currencies of 5G. There are 8 currencies total, and those are throughput, service deployment, mobility, connected devices, energy efficiency, data volume, latency, and reliability. Latency is the time that it takes for data to travel from a user over the network to a central processor and back again. With 5G, we're seeing lower than ever latency at sub 10 milliseconds. Data volume refers to the amount of data that can be sent over the network. The combination of super low latency with high data volume introduces all kinds of new applications. So think about a doctor or a first responder being able to get data intensive information like full body scans or building plans within seconds. So looking at a few more of the currencies, we have mobility. Mobility means that with 5G, devices traveling over 300 miles an hour can stay connected to the network. And as someone who was on a train just yesterday, that would have been very useful as I was getting disconnected constantly as I was trying to do work. Connected devices refers to the number of devices that can be connected within a given space. And with 5G, we're talking about over 1 million connected devices able to send and receive data in less than half a mile. So this is going to pave the road for truly smart cities, no pun intended. And Verizon is building out the infrastructure for all 8 of these currencies. And so when we say 5G, we mean it. And that means a lot of planning, testing, and innovation go into Verizon's 5G network. Let's move on to the next slide. So a little bit on our team. The new business incubation team sits within Verizon's strategy organization, and our mission is to scale new automation businesses fueled by the inherent orchestration power of the 5G future. We focus on the development and validation of some of the most transformational future technologies, including terrestrial and aerial robots, location technology, and industrial IoT. Our team is constantly pushing to the edge of what's possible, leading us to new and exciting discoveries. And the 5G studio with New Lab is a huge part of that innovation pipeline, where we get to collaborate with early stage tech companies exploring adjacent spaces to our strategies. And we're thrilled to go into year 2 of the program and to invite even more innovation and transformation of products through 5G. Back to you, Omri.
Thank you, Rachel. And just quick housekeeping. There is a Q&A button at the bottom. Feel free to submit questions. We have a Q&A session at the end. We'll keep save the last 15 minutes of the webinar to answer those questions. So feel free to submit them as you see fit. So Rachel described greatly the partnership with Verizon. We just finished our first cohort of companies back in November. We'll go through quickly just to give you an idea of what kind of applications we're looking at. Of course, the applications that we're looking at are not limited to those companies or these solutions, but just to give you an idea what 5G can enable. Xsens Technology is an autonomous aerial robotic company providing drone solution for GPS denied environments. They tested the ability to retask mid-flight after using 5G network, after the drone already went in new air. Foam is a blockchain company based in New Lab, and they offer crowdsourced maps and authenticate locations in different warehouses, different areas, whether it's outdoors or indoors, using their unique solution. Ghost Robotics, which were featured also on CES by Verizon CEO, they offer an autonomous robot, 4-legged robot that can run around, whether it's a warehouse or an open area, working with the military and energy applications, really map an area connecting between robot and robot. So imagine like a swarm of robots connecting among themselves, running around, able to map an area without the intervention of an operator. Phantom Auto is a teleoperation company based in Silicon Valley. and they offer teleoperations for the transportation industry. So you can have someone sitting in the office over the 5G network in real time, control different vehicles, whether it's trucks, forklifts, or small vehicles running around. PontoCare, it's another Newlab company. They offer a telemedicine solution that enables doctor using VR and AR sets to examine patients in the comfort of their own home. So a doctor can sit in the office and run multiple tests on people real time live without the need to come to the doctor's office. And last but not least is Vecna Robotics, with whom we have, from whom we have Anush today on the line. He will describe shortly Vecna's offering. But in a few words, Vecna is an autonomous forklift running in various warehouses across the country. And they're able to operate their forklift using a VR set from remote over the 5G network. We'll share with you a quick 1-minute video of the success of the cohort, and then we'll let Anush go live and describe Vecna's offering. So here you can see Exxon's drone running around this space, all in real time. This is Ghost Robotics. Phantom Auto teleoperate using VR, and PontoCare running a doctor visit. So as you can see, we've seen incredible applications, and we are very excited for the second cohort and see what you guys are capable to provide as well and to offer to the market. And we're here to support you as you go through that process. Without further ado, Anuj.
Hey everyone, my name is Anuj and I'm a robotics engineer at Vecna Robotics. I really enjoyed my time at the 5G studio, so I'm really happy to share some of my experiences which I had there. So Armory gave a brief description of what we do as a company. We are a provider of autonomous mobile robotics for warehousing and manufacturing applications. And this is paired with our orchestration engine, Pivotal, which provides tasks and allows the human and robot teams to work seamlessly. And we have found that human and robot teams come to about 85% more efficient than humans and robots working independently, constantly driving down the labor savings in excess of 30%. And we were specifically interested in joining the 5G cohort because we found that there was, using the MEC edge computation, we found that there was a lot of processes that we could run on the edge that were non-critical, and we could improve our current performance by about 40% and also unlock computation power of 5G. So with the next slide. So we were able to form VR telepresence using the 5G provided. We were able to send real-time sensor data and also 360-degree RGB vision to a teleoperator. That was me using a VR headset. And then we also be able to compare how the 5G network infrastructure compared to the Wi-Fi network. And we're able to remotely support it at our own headquarters using the 5G network. And we definitely saw a big performance increase using the 5G network. And as well as this, as I previously mentioned, we were able to use the MEC edge computing architecture to offload computation and perform non-critical tasks upon it. And using this VR approach that was enabled by the presence of the 5G with ultra low latency, we were definitely able to get an increased sense of situational awareness. So we found that 5G strictly provided higher bandwidth as we figured it would. And because of that, we were able to transfer more sensor data away from the robot, which is extremely useful because as you get more sensor data, you are able to perform more tasks upon it. And as I mentioned, the low latency definitely enabled better remote support experience, as we found that it was easier to do real-time actions upon it. And the mech enabled more real-time data processing that allowed us to enable to use the VR telepresence approach. And we're able to use the mech to apply machine learning for improved localization and navigation. So what's next? We're still continuing to build out our robot portfolio, and we have recently launched the new counterbalance forklift. And we have a focus on scaling and building out a partner ecosystem, and it'll be extremely useful to have the 5G integrated with that. And we are also trying to make sure that the 5G can be enabled to provide a more common infrastructure and more real-time edge applications. So we would constantly see how the 5G can be used to send more sensor data over, and thus we can offload more computation on towards the mech.
Thank you, Anush. And of course, guys, if you have any questions specifically about Vecna, the application, their experience in the studio, and so on, feel free to submit in the QA button, and we'll be happy to answer those, of course. So be me and Rachel. A bit about the offering for companies and the timeline for the studio and the upcoming cohort. So through the studio, and you heard a bit about it before, we provide exposure, of course, and access to a network of investors. We provide some sort of grant funding for participating companies for between 10 and 25K. It's a zero equity, zero fee for companies. Grant is ready to cover expenses, such as travel costs, engineering costs, development costs, and stuff like that, and to provide you the best access we can to the studio. The main part of the studio, I would say, and the main benefit of joining are the build and test. So working with us and with the Verizon stakeholders to really build the solutions on 5G and really like improve your product using the network. It's one of only networks that are available around the country for companies to come and pilot on and to test on. It's really very advanced. We have some questions already about the mech. We'll touch more about that. But really, I can't emphasize enough how great the opportunity is for companies looking to improve their product and their data transfer. In addition, of course, companies who participate in the studio will enjoy our community and space. We provide a 1-year membership at NewLab for 2 tech tests for participating companies. You can come back and forth if your headquarters are not in New York, or if your headquarters are in New York. Use the facility, enjoy the community, join our Slack channel, get the access to resources that we offer in the space. A bit about the timeline. So as you can see, we are almost at the end of the open call period. So we're going to close it on February 10th, Wednesday night. So companies who are looking to apply, please do so in the next 48 hours so we can review your applications during February. In March, we'll conduct one-on-one calls with the top applicants, and then we'll review those applicants together with Verizon in March and April. Pilots are scheduled to go live at the end of April and go through the month of May until mid-June, basically in NewLab in New York. So participating companies are expected to be in NewLab for at least a week to 10 days, testing the technology, developing on the network, and working with the engineers on site. The conclusion event will be a demo day, a public demo day with Verizon to talk about the results and to present the different outcomes from the pilot. That is that for what we have for you guys at this moment. We'll move into a Q&A session. We already have some interesting questions coming from the crowd. So the first question we received was, how specific should our proposed pilot be? So I can take that as you go through the application process, you'll see different questions about the company description, but also about the 5G pilot that you're proposing. So we encourage you to be as specific as you're comfortable. Don't share anything that you're not comfortable sharing, of course. However, during the one-on-one calls and the review process that we showed before, the timeline, there will be time that we request participating companies to submit a full proposal in which they go to a full scope of work with budget, timeline, and specific goals for 5G. So in the application, we're really looking to know how would 5G change your company and change your product? What kind of use will you make of the network, and how does it differs from anything else in the market and from whatever 4G or LTE/Wi-Fi can offer your product. In terms of stage of companies that we are looking for, I would say we're looking for companies in any stage. Vecna Robotics is a late stage company with deployed product and customers across the country. We also look at companies on the earlier stage who can enjoy the network and really move to the next level with their product. The only limitation for the studio is if your company is more than 200 employees. Unfortunately, we cannot accept you due to limitations and legal aspect of things. But other than that, there are no limitations for joining the studio. The next question is, and I'll let both Anuj and Rachel answer that. When it comes to industrial automation, where do you think 5G will have the biggest impact in the next 5 years?
Hey, so I can take that initially. So my opinion is that the main thing that 5G will definitely provide is that with its low latency, we could definitely provide better support. And because of that, you can definitely provide our clients with a smoother experience where latency has been drastically decreased. That was like one of the things we found when we were testing the studio. And because of that, it will be enable industrial automation players to better support their clients.
Awesome. I think we got the answer from the source that really got to benefit from 5G. But yeah, totally agree with Anuj. We're definitely going to see latency playing a role in the types of applications that we can test and develop, and that coupled with the high bandwidth, ultra fast speeds. So if we think about it within factories, we have tons of IoT devices allowing for all of those to be connected. And if we think about Anuj's use case in Vecna Robotics with real-time or near real-time processing happening over the MEC, then we're able to introduce all these new applications in a very dense factory or manufacturing space that's going to really allow us to create the factory of the future. So we're talking about centralizing information that's really fragmented, allowing for more connected devices, and of course, utilizing those currencies of 5G that we spoke about to really create that future factory.
Fantastic, and it actually leads us to a follow-up question on what are you testing in industrial automation? Can you give some examples of use cases on private 5G network or public that you've seen in the market or that Verizon is excited about?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many applications within manufacturing, logistics, and of course, tons of other spaces. But for the studio, those are the ones that we're focused on. But anything from what Anuj was speaking about, which is off-board compute. So taking compute that happens within or on different devices and having it happen over the network, allowing for that centralization of data. That's something that we're really excited about. There are many applications in workforce safety on the factory floor. So really we think about kind of a more connected plant, manufacturing plant or logistics factory. Those are kind of the use cases that are enabled by 5G.
And I would add and say that I think the most unique thing about the studio is the ability to really listen to the market and see what's out there. Listen to you guys, to the companies that are applying and hear about their solutions, or to listen to different corporates who are looking for different solutions and letting us kind of like drive the solutions forward. I'll go into the next question. what kind of development support would Verizon provide participating companies? And Rachel, are you able to describe a bit more about the MEC and what that may be?
All right, well, we can start with the development support question. So the development all happens on your end, or kind of on the startup's end, and you'll be the ones developing your application. But we provide from the Verizon end the network support. So how to connect to the 5G network, the devices that you'll need to connect, and that's kind of where we play in. But all the actual development will happen on the participant end. And then for the second question on what is MEC, it's a great question. So MEC is Mobile Edge Compute. And with MEC, we're talking about bringing the computing resources closer and on-site. So when we think about a cloud resource, that's farther away. And so it's going to be harder to process information in near real time. Where we bring that MEC, which is connected to the 5G network, we're talking about near real-time processing of data. And so there are going to be hundreds of different applications for MEC, whether we're talking about, the robotics use case or IoT devices. There's endless number of use cases. But when we think about it, it's really about bringing the compute resources closer.
Perfect. And then if we're already on the topic of MEC, can you please discuss Verizon's efforts related to IoT or IoT sensors? If we're talking about processing on the edge?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure entirely what the question is, but I'll take a stab around, what 5G can bring to IoT devices. And if we think about, hundreds or even thousands of IoT devices within a small space, so manufacturing or logistics or wherever that is, or even within our smart cities, having them all be able to connect to the network and, unlimited base, or I don't want to say unlimited, hundreds of thousands of devices can be connected to the network. That's kind of the power of 5G, is having the devices connect to the network, and then even having some of that processing, like we spoke about, happening over the network rather than on those devices.
And I would highly encourage companies to think about how IoT devices connect among themselves, transfer data, and really look at a space in a more holistic perspective and a holistic view. Do you have any advice for companies looking to join the studio? Anush, that you take our first stab?
Yeah, sure. I would say you should have a very clear idea of what you want to achieve in the studio, and make sure that you have properly done the development beforehand, such that when you're on site, you can definitely do the testing that you want to achieve. And from my experience, time goes by super quickly and there's a lot to do. So I'd really make sure you have a very clear idea of what you want to test and what you want to do on site. Because when I was there were other companies around doing their tasks and stuff. And you want to make sure that you have your allotted time to make sure that you get what you want done and test what you want done. So having a very clear idea of what you want to achieve, it will also help you realize how exactly what your use case is, and really make sure that you just get the results that you want. So definitely plan out ahead with what you want to do.
Perfect. And beside the access to obviously the network, what was another reason for Vecna to join the studio?
Well, it was just aside from the access to the network, it was a very good insight to where the future is really going, and we can see how that we are able to improve our product for the future, and how we would have to adapt as 5G becomes more prevalent. 5G is very new, and this is our own insight to seeing where the world is kind of going, and seeing how we would have to adapt ourselves in order to succeed.
Wonderful. Rachel, do you have advice for companies looking to join the studio?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say, apply. It all starts there. And then I think that, there's so many different applications for 5G, and we're really looking, to see what you guys come with. And so we're excited to kind of get exposed to the diversity of applications. And there are so many different use cases. And so I think there's huge opportunity, like Anuj said, to kind of get ahead and catch up with the future. And so we're excited to see the applications.
Yes, and I can't emphasize Rachel's point enough. Apply. We're happy to talk and answer any question from any company to better understand the use case. And if it's not of interest or relevant for this cohort, it might be relevant for future cohort or for different 5G applications and different departments within Verizon or different studios for NewLab. So obviously submit and send and reach out. We are always happy to answer any question. For a question regarding how long will each company have to test on the 5G network. So there isn't a set number of days. However, what we've learned from the first cohort is companies are expected to spend about a week to 10 days to see the best results. So there is like an iteration process where you come to NewLab, you obviously log into the network, work with the Verizon engineers and devices to log onto the network, and then do some more testing internally, revamp the product, go back, do some more testing until you find the best result and the best outcome. It's a few days process. It's not a day or two, but also it's not a month. So we're not expecting you guys to relocate to New York permanently, but we do encourage companies to spend at least a week to 10 days. I would add and say that even after the pilot ends, companies who participated in the studio still have access to the network. So because we provide you access to NewLab for up to a year for free, you can also access the network. Of course, talk to us, talk to the Verizon engineers, and see what's the next use case you can test on the network. And for again, companies interested to apply, keep sending applications and keep sending questions. The studio is focused both on software and hardware. I will let Rachel answer a quick question. Is there more interest from for the studio for software companies leveraging 5G data, or is it mostly focused on hardware?
You know, I would say definitely both. There's going to often be an element of hardware for software companies and an element of software for hardware companies. And we're really looking for any application that can be transformed through 5G. So definitely say both hardware and software companies.
Wonderful. And I would say that some of our companies in cohort 1 were software companies and provided SDK, and some were hardware companies. So definitely use case for both. I see that there are no more further questions at this time. I want to thank Rachel and Anush, both of you, for joining us today and providing your insight on the studio and answering all my questions. Also, all the participants and attendees, again, feel free to reach out. This recording will be live after the webinar ends on our website, so you can access it at any point. If you want to revisit our timeline again, or if you have any questions, feel free to email us at 5gstudio@newlab.com. And again, we're really looking forward to seeing your applications. We already have an impressive amount, really encouraging one and really interesting ones. Feel free, again, reach out at any point. And at this point, have a great week. Happy Monday, and hope to talk to all of you guys soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.